Well, hello all. I go by the name Daimond. Figured I would show you some tips and tricks. Mainly it's a training video in sorts. Uh, we'll mainly be going over stuff to do with air vehicles. I will touch up a bit on ground vehicles as well. I'm going to try to keep it short as possible, but this is my first real video. Uh, put up a couple other things, mainly for the other vehicles you've seen. First time I've done anything with voice. So we'll just get into a few things. I figured I'd start here and show you a couple nifty things I found out with my latest build right off the bat this way, and then move into how they were done. But here's one of my first air vehicles. There was a change from the previous build to this build. Before, you had my other build looked a lot different. Similar amount of rotors, but I could do a lot more this time. I decided to keep all the rotors even though we don't need them any longer. You had to have at least a certain amount of weight before to get them off the ground in the previous build, whereas now you don't. But there's a number of different changes. One I found, at least in this configuration, from front to back, you need at least one rotor in the front and minimum two in the back for it to balance out properly. Three in the back works even better, but you need to offset it. So if you go more than three in the back and one in the front, you need two in the front and four in the back, or just keep them even, two and two. On the side-to-side motions, you can keep them fairly even, but you do need some towards the front and some to the back to keep everything level. And I'll show you another thing, is to roughly put these into place where you want them. They will change, and you will have to do more tweaking the more stuff you put on it, be it front to back, side to side, more materials you put on it. It changes it. So leave all the tweaking for the rotors to the very end. It just makes your life simpler than having to, as you're making your vehicle, you're going along and having to keep tweaking these damn things. It just becomes very annoying. Now this one takes off a lot more smooth than the next one, just because I got so many rotors on it. But I figured I'd pull this one out to show you more rotors, the smoother it goes. I haven't fully tweaked this one. It still somewhat moves forward, and it does pick up a little bit of speed, but I think it goes up to like 3 kilometers at the most. But I figured I'd show you on this one how you normally see these things, and especially in the previous build, whereas these the main guns you've seen, they would shoot out farther. As you can tell, they shoot out farther than the last ones. They can't go down any farther than that. So on the next build that I did, I decided to try a few different changes on it, now that we got rotation and other stuff with it. Now the main things you can see, well, these guns here I got mounted not even quite 90, they're a little bit over 90. That was just so I can get a little bit more onto it, but these work in any rotation. Figured I'd give it a try to see if I can get these things, which are a heavier gun, although they suck a lot more energy, to go farther down, which worked out pretty well. And you can see I made this quite small. I'll show you how I got that to work too. So, keeping this thing small and these things on the side, one thing that I found out later on, which is not a big deal, hops around if I'm moving. Looks kind of funny, but it operates properly in the air the way I want. It's not a ground vehicle, so it doesn't bother me none. See, this one takes off a bit slower because I got minimalistic jets in this thing, and it still slightly moves. I left that so I can show you a bit of the tweaking. But this one, see, as you can see, fires normally, but I can point this those guns a lot farther down now. Now if they allowed me to point straight down, those guns would virtually shoot straight down. And same thing with up. See, because the other guns I don't have them tweaked, they don't go up as far as those ones. So that's a better way of showing you. Now a nifty little trick I found when I was doing this, because I like the look of the afterburner, sort of the jets in the back during the daytime, and I figured, you know, night, why not? So I gave something a try and worked out actually pretty well. Put headlights in the rear, and at first I had them pointed up, but then I decided, point them down just in case somebody might want to do some nighttime hunting, so they can see what they're trying to chase down. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to see with them pointed up. But looks pretty good. I even tweaked them a little bit farther out to give a higher radius. But we'll show you how that's done in the editor now. And we'll come back out here after showing you a few tweaks. I won't do right away. Yet another bug. Well, now that we're in the editor, we'll go over to the main vehicle here. As you can see, I got several different versions of it. I found quite early on that saving at a different stage is just in case I wanted to go back because I didn't like the way it is, or if I wanted to use that for another template. It was easy to be done. You can see this was what I started out with. It was a little too short. In the end it didn't quite work out. So I still kept this because it's something I may work off later on. But I got several different stages and builds, and when I'm decide I can get rid of it. Like this one, I was thinking of doing an open cockpit on this one. That's why I haven't painted it. It's not quite finished. On the final version I hollowed some of this out just to see. As you can see, the statistics on this one is 12,800. Weight is 21 ton, whereas the final one, it's about 1,000 durability less and about 4 tons smaller. So reduce the weight a little bit, allowing the takeoffs to be a little bit better, but not reducing the durability all that greatly. Now, I haven't fully tested to see if the fuel goes down more, because for each one of these rotors you got on there, the fuel gets eaten up faster just by flying around. But I haven't tested to see if the weight has any determination in that. As you can fly a really long time, and it's not a really big thing anymore once you get your colony up, because you can actually recharge things. But I'll go into this. As you can see, here's the lights here. Got them pointed in the rear. They actually shine through the model. I initially just wanted them back there, but then I found they shine through the actual model themselves, which is no big deal, works out. But you can hide a lot of stuff, make them invisible. All still operates. There's a number of things you can't hide, like these, because you know option. You can actually hide these things, so you can make it look like it's hovering. I haven't actually tried it yet, but we'll give it a try here. Now, the cockpit. I actually angled this to give me some more room, to drop the headroom down. This allowed me to shrink it, but leave the feet hidden, just barely. But I found they only allow you to tip it 15 degrees in either direction. Would have been better if I could have made it more flat. I wouldn't have to put this extra lip on here. That's why there's a bit of a stock up here. After I got to the final end, I found out I couldn't get that thing tipped any farther, so I had to actually add a top on, which still worked out. Looks nice. But another thing you can't change is the rotors, you can't make them invisible. Would be nice, but I hid them within the model. And another thing about these rotors too, which I'll show you, is you can change the size of these. So I got this one at the max. You can't go any larger than 1.0, but I brought these ones down to 0.75, and it actually reduces the amount of uplift it has, which gives you nose up and nose down type of thing, which might work in some cases if you got the forward-facing guns. But the ones in the rear here, see I got 4 of them stockpiled back here. They're also shrunken slightly. That's one of the other tweaks you can do. But the main thing is see I changed this the rotation up here to 1.6 on a few of them. That helps you adjust the forward drag. As you see in this one, it was going backwards slightly. So if I select these, and if you didn't know, before I get to that, when you have the X value on here, when you place something, if you didn't already know, it duplicates it on the other side. So when you manipulate this one, it changes the other one in the exact same thing. So if you go 4.5, 4 be in the center. They work off the center lines. It'll bring it closer to the center, but it also brings this one closer to the center. So apply that, and see everything works in duplicate. And there's actually a way to get it to do 4. So let's undo that. Control Z's undo. I haven't found the one for forward, just by hotkeys. But if you do this, and you're behind this line, but you can shift these lines too. So see, I can change that more forward and change it to whatever I want, so you don't have to stick with the absolute centers. You can adjust them all. See, it places 4. So when I manipulate one, it changes the others. So 4.5 will bring them all in, and vice versa. So little tip, and you can link these together in a fashion. I haven't used this much, but it's in case you don't want those lines. It's basically the same exact thing. It's just showing you the exact center, and you can manipulate it the same way. It's basically the exact same thing. It's just you don't have that colored wall in front of you, and you can do it for all 4 sections. But this can be confusing, as it can go kitty corner. So I wouldn't use it too often. Just stick with the basic individuals if that works for you. So we'll go in here and tweak this, and I got these things invisible here, as you can see. But if I set this to say 1.7, apply, it adjusts front to back tilt, so they're more, the top is more tilted towards the front. Like I'll go to 5 degrees to show you. See, it changes quite a bit. We'll switch this one back. So that's 1.7, so they're equal. And another trick is, unlike the previous build, you do not have to save to export it. You can export it as is, just in case you don't like the tweaks. You don't have to go back. So we can export this, and then when we escape, we can either save it or don't save, and it'll be back the way we were. So now when we put this one down, see, it's still going backwards. So I'd have to put a lot more tilt onto that to get it to work properly. But another thing with, like, say this one, it's basically identical to the original one, but I was trying to put a nose gun on this thing, which is just a front cannon. So it's identical to the first one that flew normally, but because of the additional weight in the front, or any additional stuff that you do to offset, even just moving the rotors up and down or farther out from their current location that was level, then changes the values, and you're gonna have to tweak it some more. It takes a long time to tweak it, unfortunately. I won't go into full detail on that, but we'll export this one. You just have to, it's a lot of monkeying and tweaking is what it is to get this thing to operate properly. There's no set way at the moment. It's just a lot of fiddling around, and like I suggest, put them into rough space, and then once you're done your model, then adjust them in the end. That way you're not constantly readjusting them. But now if you see on this one, the nose facing forward, and I'm actually getting quite a bit and increasing in speed just because of the additional load. It's tipped it, pushing it forward faster. So I'd have to do a lot more tweaking to the engines if I wanted that actual gun on there. And it works for the mats and everything else. Like I said, just a lot of tweaking. Like I said, you can hollow out the center just to lessen the load without getting rid of stuff on the outside that you like. Just make what you want and hollow it out, or don't hollow it out. It's really your choice. But see, these things are quite finicky. If you go too far on, like I had these things are at 1.6, and I changed it to 1.7, and it seemed to move a little faster. Whereas on the front ones, I haven't tweaked these ones yet. If you go too far, it seems to go in the opposite you want. So I only got these ones pointed, tilted towards me by 0.10. So to stop the backwards motion, I'd probably adjust these ones here. But like I said, any minor change after you've got them set will adjust it. So you can try turning these things off and seeing what it looks like if you want a hover vehicle. It doesn't work on the regular vehicles, ground ones, like this one here. Let's go with Monster Upgrade. Don't save. Now these ones here, you can't turn off the wheels. You can change left to right and make them steering or non-steering. That's about it. You can change the positions of them. You can't change the size or anything. But as you see here, I put 2 tires back to back for a couple of different reasons. I'll delete these ones for now. But you see the shaft. You see this shaft right here. Well, the pivot point is actually here in the center of the tire. So when you turn on something like this, like it's so high up and you're looking at the rear end, this shaft actually protrudes 40 degrees outside of its current location, you see. So it looks pretty odd as you're driving. Most you wouldn't notice because they look like this. They're hidden, not a big deal. But I decided to go with 2 tires, which puts the shaft inside, hiding that, so you don't notice that this is coming out of joint hardly at all, being it cranked up. and I just liked having the 2 tires, so I stuck it on the front 2 to give it a wider view. It was just basically personal preference. And like these here, no matter how you adjust them, I tweaked them inwards a little bit so they actually fire in a straight line and they come together at the same point as these other guns. And I haven't fully tested, but everything seems to adjust with size. So I haven't fully tested, but I think reducing the size of these guns reduces the damage they do as well. It doesn't seem to reduce the power consumption because I reduce the size of this and it still drains the same amount. But you can do all sorts of funky stuff, like as you can see here, put them all on, tweaked them, and in this instance, for people that do something like this big gun is hindering me from clicking on those. Well, just go inside of it, then you can click on it. But something like this, once you set it up, the one up, you can pretty much do the rest of them pretty easy because it's just a matter of the same sizes and whatnot. Be nice if you could do a bunch of them, but mainly you can set right here in between if you want to do 4, the up and down, if you can get it to work properly for higher and lower on these things. You can keep them invisible, whichever you like. So that's a few tricks there. What else? Now for types of things like swords, you can hide the hilt like I did, so it's hidden in there, because that part does go invisible. And this one I found a few other tricks after I've built this one, but I haven't bothered going back to it. But I used some smoothing groups like I did on all the other ones. So we'll go over some basics on smoothing. Okay, we'll start off with going over some real basics. Although you can't see the pointer, you'll just have to follow what I'm saying. On the right hand side you got reference panel. If you don't notice, you can adjust your starting point. On some things, even vehicles, probably not so much ground vehicles, but maybe airplanes and other such things as shields and specifically swords and whatnot, you might want to start up here, a little bit higher up, just in case on the hilt you decide to at one point in time you want to add something to the bottom, like a spike or an extra whatever, right? It's pretty hard to do it once you got it down on this bottom plane here, because you can't go any farther. Whereas if you move the whole unit up, because the model interacts from this hilt, so no matter where it is on this plane, it'll only act from that hilt. So you got a lot of room. It's kind of unfeasible unless you really like the concept of building the entire size. I prefer to go with conventional and looks over something silly just to get the most out of the attack and whatnot, which it has changed quite a bit since the last build. But for airplanes and whatnot, you might want to create a hover mode, which I have tested since I recorded the last little section there. It does make invisible, and if you put the feet up here, or if you don't have the landing gear at all, and you just it'll fall to hit the most solid object, be it the body or legs, but it places it in the world at this blue line down here. So if you start up here, it'll drop that amount, maybe doing some damage, but so don't stick it up too tall if you decide to go that route. But your voxels, starting here, only operate on this plane, so you can't stick it on the end of this thing unless you raise this up. So you can raise it up to the top of the hilt, right there. Place your mount. You can turn on some different planes to, like shown before, to copy what's going on the other side. But for now, to show some other basics and some other nifty tricks, we'll just go over a board here at the moment. So I like turning on the laser grid down here on the far left, so you can see what's going on the different planes coming up. But there's a number of different things you can do here, like starting real basics, selecting left click and drag to select what you want to adjust. If you hold down the add key, not sure if you can see the name add, but I'm pretty sure you do. By holding down the shift key, you can add to your other selection. Holding down the alt will subtract an area, and holding down the control button will do a cross section. So this, starting here, if you see the selection that I don't have selected, if I start out here and come across, it'll highlight the unselected areas and unselect the highlighted areas that are crossing, such as that. Now with all this selected, if there's something down here you wanted to add or go farther, oops, okay, well, don't double click, but you can hold down the left mouse button and use the arrow keys to increase your depth down to C. And before letting go, if you want to add it to that other square that I got there now, so that whole one, since I screwed up, hold down the add or subtract key and you can add to the selection. Now with the area selected, if you hold down the shift key, you can use the arrow keys now to manipulate this by pushing the back button comes towards me when I'm facing it. When I'm facing in this direction, the back button works opposite, just like the right, left, forward, and the same holds true when you're above. When I push forward up here, it goes forward, but if you go too far over where you're sort of looking back on this, the forward actually goes in reverse. So it can kind of screw you up, and same goes for down here. Now holding the shift key still and hitting the space bar goes up, and holding the shift and hitting alt goes down on your selection. And control Z is undo. I haven't looked into going forward other than going down here and pressing the button on the bottom menu. Now for highlighting and whatnot, we'll start off with well, I'll put up the no, hold off on that. So feathering, we can feather it in many different ways. We'll show you a worst case scenario. We'll select an area here, bring that up some. Now we'll feather by 20 voxels. So now I can click and drag across here. So you can see the different colors. There's red, or sort of a reddish color, but kind of orange, and it slowly evaporates out this way. So it'll take this chunk out, and then I'll smooth it out to the end as it goes to the lighter color. And to show you the two different ways, actually a better option would be to come in this corner here. Actually, I'll come in this corner. So we hit the delete. You can see you remove that section and feather it out to these other corners. Now if I was closer, I'll undo that, closer to here, you can see it doesn't select up on the top here, but when I hit it, see it sort of undermines that a bit because it was going under, so it smoothed that side, but yet over here it sort of manipulated the two. It's some things you can tell what it's going to do, but other things it's just trial and error to see what it's going to do. Like there, I was far enough away where it just adjusted the height of this one into this one. So if you look at the two different types, so if I come across at this point, show you a couple of different things. See it undermines there, we're bringing it up on here on both sides. Now if I select this one as well as holding down the shift key and selecting that, now you can see the two different types. Amalgamates it in pretty nice, but not quite the same. Now I can add to that going this direction. See, it sort of keeps the amalgamation in it. So you can say select this and do something different, because I don't want as much on that one. While this is selected, I can change the feather amount. Just remember to hold down the shift key when you start on the next section again, otherwise you lose everything. See, it doesn't matter if I drag farther past on this, because there's nothing else on this plane. Unlike here where I dragged here, meaning to only do this side, it selects everything on this side because it's on the same plane. Now, in doing this, when I hit the delete key, see, it didn't quite still do it because it's still feathering farther back, whereas this one didn't feather far enough, but it gives a unique look to it. Something that you might be looking for to create for some unknown reason. But I've come across things where I've meant to do one thing, and in doing something else like this, I created something that actually I liked and incorporated. But on another level, you can do it at several different stages to get different looks. Like, say I'll stick with the 10 up here, and I'll go across here, then stick with a 10 on this one. See, it makes it a nicer fit, but now I can change that. Say I decide to go with another, I can go do the 10 across here again. But see, at a certain point it makes a sharpness and comes up. I can then further that by selecting on this and adjusting that, and see I got a selection on here. Say I wanted to adjust this but not this side because that's what I wanted. Come back over to the right, change the feather amount down to 0, because otherwise it's going to select back over here like it did over here, and make sure to hold the subtract key, the alt. Now I can select this area that I don't want to adjust and remove it. So now I'm only affecting the sides that I want, and I can go even farther by selecting this and only doing half. And I can also select down further if I choose, like this, if there's multiple layers that I want to get to, and I can subtract or add to that depending on if I feather. So I got to hold down the subtract key or I'll lose that. But now you can see that effect. Now let's go back to this and switch it to, say, 6 instead of the 10 I started on. Oh, get rid of the depth. See, it doesn't cut it off as sharply. Maybe that's something I was looking for. Now we'll go to 3. So I can slowly dig my way in, going down incremental levels if you want to keep a smooth edge, or staying at it. down, if that's what you're looking for. And you can only undo a certain amount of times. I haven't counted how many it is, but that's why I save at different stages too, just in case I go a little too far and I want to go back to the original. I can go back to my ISO and go to a different version I was at if I really didn't like what was going on. So now we're back to this state. Now I'll show you another thing. We'll go up to, say, 4. Now there's a feather depth. So when you go feather depth, it goes down 4 and out 4. Because you can see I don't have any additional selected here, which would adjust it. But in doing this, let's go over a little bit more. You can see it goes out and down. So now, if I do it the other way, take the feather depth off, keep the 4, left click and hold on the top, and go down 4. Make sure I hit the shift key before we're letting go, or I'll lose that one. Now you can see the difference. Now if I hit the delete key, or come over here to the delete section, but I just do use the delete key, you can see the difference. See, this feathers out at 4, which doesn't end up being that low because it feathers it out differently. But whereas this is not quite a flat bottom, but you can change that if that's something you want. If you can get at the center, like say, take the feather off. Well, you could use the feather too. Let's use the feather anyways. Keep the feather in there. Say you wanted to make a flat bottom on that. So you'll select that whole area. Now you can just move it back and forth, or as it's lower than that, create it on that level. See, it just sort of continues it up because it retains that shape, unfortunately. Which is another option. Now you can do other types of things too, like if I want to dig a hole. So let's undo those. Oops, too far. So you can see I got it cranked up to 20, it goes all the way across. Now if I feather the full depth, it's going to practically remove this whole block. But we'll do it anyways. You have to re-click on the area to reselect. Oh. But it didn't quite do it, but you can see it creates a nice shape in there. But if I don't do the feather depth, I click on it, I can go all the way through the block, creating a nice hole. But as you can see on all of them, it sort of concaves it slightly around it. It's not quite pretty on the big size scale. But another thing we can do as well, say we decided we all of a sudden wanted it this block taller. Select the height, hold shift and spacebar to continue it up. Well, it retains the shape. And then say have a smaller version of the selection. See, it's in that sort of distorted shape. Well, it somewhat keeps that distorted shape. It's hard to see, but it's got a slight bend to it. But in the same instance, even though you got it selected, if you decide to go down without selecting here and going down, if I go back upon itself, now it changes and gets rid of that nice smoothness. Now it puts everything blocked back out. Might be an effect you might want, like say on a barrel, all of a sudden change the end, have a different look. Could be something you're looking for or not. I've come across a few discoveries by accident by doing something one way and worked out to be good another way. Another neat trick with that too, you can have any amount, 10, let's go with 10 instead. This is one I discovered, which is kind of neat. Select the area. We don't have any depth selected on it. You can select some, but holding down the shift and going up in this instance creates a unique shape. See, and it slowly gets smaller and smaller on the way up. So, it'll just continue till there's almost nothing. But let's go all the way back to the beginning here. Well, didn't quite work out there, so we'll went a little too far up to go back, so we'll just select everything. Oops. Go back to 10. Get rid of the depths, don't need it that much. Now, say I was doing something like that. Now, as I go up, it does a similar type thing, but in the midst, I can either hold down the Alt key with the 10 selected, selecting out an area, which then reduces that, changing the shape there, or I can take the feather amount down to 0 and subtract individual areas that I no longer want, changing the shape to a form I'm happy with. But like anything, it'll slowly change itself again as it goes. But it's one way to create a unique shape off of something. It doesn't work so well out the side. Didn't allow enough room here. But getting back to no, excuse me, other things. Getting back to other things, we'll remove the top half and start again. Now for feathering sides, there's different ways of doing it. One that seems to be changed. Just so I got everything proper, I'm just going to delete everything. Create new. There we go. So, feathering by 1 to start off with. As you can see, if you click on the top face, you'll stay on this top edge. You can add there, and clicking on this side, see, I can't go that way, it just adds in these directions. So if you select, you can select the different sides to create a different match, and overlapping areas turn red. Left this side different so you can see the difference for the moment. But you can see on this one, create sort of a nice edge. This side, not so nice. And same thing going down. And you can adjust that if that's what you want. But that's because I didn't select anything on here. So I didn't do equal proportions. Whereas if I select equal proportions, let's just do a little bit at a time. And the more times you go over it, the more red it'll get. So try to do it one shot. So now when I delete this, the corner creates a nice corner. You can adjust it, but there's another way of doing this. It's not quite as effective, but it works on some things more effectively and quicker. Something like, say, this. Continue here so you can see this one. But see, I can select on this edge, which then takes it out, creating that edge. As you can see here, instead of the way I was doing it, where it just select this way and down, it also gets a little bit there, but it still creates the same effect. A little bit different here in the middle because of the changeover, but if I selected it all the way across and did it, and it's nice all the way across. The only difference is if I do that, let's do it in this corner. If I do that in this manner, it doesn't create as nice of a corner, but it gets it done quickly. And it doesn't work as effective, say at 5. Anything more than 1, it creates a different effect. And everything creates a different effect. So even doing it the other way, get rid of the depths. It doesn't react quite the same. Now, it can work a little bit differently by feathering, even. Like I said, there's 100 different ways of doing this, and you're just going to have to basically test drive them all to see what suits what you're looking for. You can see you get a different effect there than the other way. And then of course you can refine that more. There's so many ways of doing stuff, just too many to explain. Now, another thing which would probably screw a lot of people up, we'll go back to 1 because you know what that's like. Now a lot of times I don't deal with this panel up when I'm doing stuff like this unless I'm working along this side and I want to change on that side. But when I'm crossing over, you can see here, I'll do this. I got feather depth on. So do it this way. Now crossing across. Nice rounded corner there, but see, it's not rounded. It's more of a complete flat angle. Now the reason being for that is it's actually doubling. Because you see, what I do to this side does the same on that side. So when I do it over here, this is another thing, you don't come all the way halfway across unless you're deleting this section, because when you delete this, you can see it causes a weird thing there because that crossover happened back on this side. And when you crossed over all the way, you took this section off of here and this section off of here, so you technically did it twice. Unless that's what you're looking for, then it's a quick way of doing it. But you can achieve basically the same thing by adding up here twice. Now if you don't want this doubling effect by only coming halfway across, then subtract it. You can see it's practically the same thing as going all the way across as before. Not quite as much because it's solid red instead of red and a slight bit of orange. So there's some pretty much basics. There's not a whole lot to it. It's a matter of testing and tweaking different ways of doing it, because there's so many different versions of how to do it. It can change. Like on here, I use smoothing, and then used going in from the end on some sections, and through here used the end and deleted some, so I didn't take out part of the wing, and full feathered here, and maybe not up here. And there's a few other tweaks you can do. I think where would be I'll do it here. Let me bring up a different model actually. Like sometimes you can get an effect, like say you got some distortion here. It used to be a lot worse. I had to dig out this area and click on the inside of the box, and I was able to drag some of that material to make it look somewhat normal because it just didn't react in here good. And it did it the same thing across here. Like, see if I can get it to take off here. Delete that. See, I had that. This was taken out before, and I had a bit of a funkiness going here, so I clicked on here when it was back there, and it just made a nice view of it. See, the first time when I did it, it looked a lot smoother. This one's a bit edgier the second time I went through it, but it kept that same similar form. But I started way up here, and it just sort of shaped it down. Just something I fell across just by accident doing something. There's just way too many things to point out. I'd be here for a 3-4 hour video explaining everything I've come across. The best thing to do is try some, undo it, try something different, try it a different way. If you find some sort of way you like, save it as a different file. When you save it as a different file, you're now in the new file, so you'll have to go to the other one if you want to start from another direction, and just keep trying different things. This gives you some basics behind the smoothing and what is possible to achieve. Like you can adjust certain other things too. Let me bring up something different. Here's one at a different stage. So actually, I think I gotta. No. I had one with. Ah. I guess I deleted that one. We'll go to the. No, not that one either. We'll go to this one. So you can see it's a bit bumpy there on this version. I smoothed it out later on by fixing that a bit, because you can adjust things yet again on the fly. Now you can see there's invisible parts here. This is because this was originally taken out back here, and it's now feathered it. Well, say I want to move this out. Well, I can select that, which selects all the way back, and now I can hold down my shift and use that to pull that out somewhat. Now it might come out to where I like it. Maybe I like it like that, or I can pull it out a little bit more and try deleting that. See, now look at that. I pulled that a little bit out, and smoothed it out a little bit better than it was. See what it is now, what it was before. Considerably different. And I can do the same thing on the next level. If I didn't like that, make sure to go all the way across, by the way, but I can smooth that out more if I didn't like the initial one later on. See, and you can just keep pulling it back and forth, or I could just go up higher on it instead, which then cuts a lot more of that out, which I can go back and take some more of that out and completely change it. You can do that down here as well on the edging if you want to create a smoother edge. Me, I didn't really bother that much. Once it turned black, I didn't really notice much of it. And you can just hit areas here. Oh, that's a little too much to show you. But say I wanted to smooth it out this edge, I can just tweak some little aspects here, bring that in if I wanted, and just go from there. Just too many numerous things to do. So I'll leave it at that. You can put in some questions and comments there if something I really missed or you'd like more on. I'll try to get to them, but you have to remember a lot of these changes, even some of these smoothing techniques, might not work in the next released update, and they might be improved. They could add in the effects, decals, add in some additional stuff, or it just can be borked for a while. It's hard to say it till it gets there. Remember, this is alpha. Thanks, and good luck.